Apollo 11 Moon Landing, The Untold Story of Humanity's Giant Leap, 1969. In the summer of 1969, the world stood still. Across continents and cultures, from crowded cities to remote villages, nearly 600 million people gathered around televisions and radios to witness something no human had ever seen before. On July 20th, 1969, humanity would attempt to step onto another world. This was the story of Apollo 11, the mission that transformed science fiction into reality and forever changed how we see ourselves in the universe. The journey to that historic night did not begin with celebration. It began with tension, rivalry, and fear. In 1957, the Soviet Union stunned the world by launching Sputnik 1, the first artificial satellite. For the first time, an object made by humans orbited the Earth. The United States suddenly realized it was no longer alone in the race for technological supremacy. The Cold War had extended beyond borders, beyond oceans, and now beyond the atmosphere itself. 4 years later, the Soviet Union achieved another milestone when Yuri Gagarin became the first human to travel into space. The achievement intensified the pressure on America. The race was no longer symbolic, it was strategic, political, and psychological. The nation that mastered space would be seen as the leader of the future. Amid this atmosphere of urgency, President John F. Kennedy addressed the United States Congress in 1961 and set an audacious goal: to land a man on the moon and return him safely to Earth before the end of the decade. It was a bold promise made at a time when America had barely sent a human into orbit. Yet that challenge ignited imagination and determination across the country. NASA responded by launching the Apollo program, the most ambitious engineering effort in human history. The Apollo program was not built overnight. It evolved from earlier missions, Mercury and Gemini, that tested whether humans could survive in space and perform complex maneuvers. Each mission pushed the boundaries further. Astronauts learned to dock spacecraft in orbit, to conduct spacewalks, and to live in microgravity for extended periods. Every lesson learned brought the moon a little closer. Yet the road was not without tragedy. In 1967, a devastating cabin fire during a ground test of Apollo 1 claimed the lives of 3 astronauts. The disaster shook NASA to its core. Investigations followed. Designs were re-examined. Safety standards were strengthened. The loss served as a painful reminder that space exploration carried enormous risks. But rather than abandoning the mission, NASA redoubled its commitment. The dream of reaching the moon had become a national purpose. By 1969, the pieces were finally in place. 3 astronauts were selected for the historic mission: Neil Armstrong, a calm and disciplined test pilot; Buzz Aldrin, an accomplished engineer and former fighter pilot; and Michael Collins, a skilled pilot tasked with orbiting the moon alone while his crewmates descended. Each man carried not only scientific instruments and equipment, but the expectations of millions. To send them to the moon required a machine unlike anything ever built. The Saturn V stood 363 feet tall, a towering monument of steel and fuel. Its engines generated 7.6 million pounds of thrust, enough to shake the ground for miles around. On July 16, 1969, at Kennedy Space Center, a crowd gathered to watch history unfold. As the countdown reached 0, flames erupted beneath the rocket. Slowly, almost reluctantly, the massive vehicle rose into the sky. Humanity had begun its journey to the moon. Within 12 minutes, Apollo 11 was in Earth orbit. Soon after, the spacecraft's third stage reignited, sending the astronauts on a trajectory toward the Moon. The journey would take 3 days. Inside the command module, named Columbia, the crew performed system checks, navigational adjustments, and television broadcasts. Outside the windows, Earth grew smaller with each passing hour, shrinking into a delicate blue sphere suspended in blackness. As Apollo 11 approached lunar orbit, the Moon's surface came into view, gray, silent, and cratered. On July 20th, Armstrong and Aldrin transferred into the lunar module named Eagle. Collins remained behind in Columbia. After separation, Eagle began its descent toward a region known as the Sea of Tranquility. What should have been a smooth landing quickly turned tense. Computer alarms flashed, 12:02, 12:01, indicating the onboard computer was overloaded. In mission control in Houston, engineers raced to interpret the data. After seconds that felt like eternity, they gave the go-ahead to continue. Armstrong looked down and realized the landing site was covered with boulders.
Taking manual control, he guided Eagle to a safer area. Fuel levels dropped dangerously low, less than 30 seconds remaining. Then came the words that would echo through history. "Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed." Hours later, Armstrong descended the ladder and placed his left foot onto the lunar surface. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. With that sentence, humanity crossed a boundary that had existed since the beginning of time. Aldrin joined him, describing the landscape as magnificent desolation. Together they conducted experiments, collected lunar samples, and planted a flag. They spoke by telephone with President Nixon and left behind a plaque reading, "We came in peace for all mankind." Meanwhile, Michael Collins orbited alone above them, maintaining the command module and preparing for rendezvous. After more than 21 hours on the Moon, Eagle's ascent stage ignited, lifting Armstrong and Aldrin back into orbit. The docking maneuver with Columbia was successful. The crew began their journey home. On July 24, 1969, Apollo 11 re-entered Earth's atmosphere and splashed down in the Pacific Ocean. Recovery teams from the USS Hornet retrieved the astronauts, who were placed in quarantine as a precaution against possible lunar contamination. Celebrations erupted worldwide. The mission had succeeded beyond expectations. Apollo 11 was more than a technological achievement. It symbolized what humanity could accomplish through collaboration, courage, and vision. More than 400,000 scientists, engineers, technicians, and workers contributed to the Apollo program. The technologies developed for the mission influenced computing, telecommunications, materials science, and countless other fields. Integrated circuits, lightweight alloys, and advanced navigation systems found applications far beyond space exploration. Perhaps most importantly, Apollo 11 changed how humanity viewed Earth. Photographs taken during the mission showed our planet as a fragile blue oasis in a vast cosmic ocean. Borders were invisible from space. Differences seemed small against the backdrop of infinity. The mission inspired generations to pursue science, engineering, and exploration. In the decades since, humans have returned to the Moon only a handful of times, yet the legacy of Apollo 11 endures. Modern missions aim to establish sustainable lunar exploration and eventually send humans to Mars. Each new step traces its origins back to that summer night in 1969. Apollo 11 proved that the impossible is often just the unattempted. It demonstrated that when humanity unites behind a bold vision, extraordinary achievements become possible. The moon landing was not merely a triumph of rockets and computers. It was a triumph of imagination and determination.
And as we look up at the moon today, its surface still bears the footprints left behind by Armstrong and Aldrin, silent reminders of the moment humanity first stepped beyond its home world and into the wider universe.